Hello, everyone. Welcome to Starcraft 2 Amateur Hour, where our nuts are so full of gay juice, and we're gonna squirt it into your brain.
Um, yeah, yeah, that's pretty much what the show's about.
Yep.
Yeah,
I think I summed everything up. The past 8 months of work.
yeah, that's pretty much what we do here.
Yeah.
So you have Guns Akimbo. I'm Negative Sons.
And I'm Guns Akimbo.
Yada yada yada. And you have some announcements, right? Or no? You wanna do
Yeah.
it now?
First off, real quick to get out of the way before this awesome episode starts. Negative Sons and myself, we're going to be teaming up with other guys for some Child's Play fundraiser stuff. Child's Play, if you don't know already, is a charity that gives video games to kids in hospitals around the world.
Yeah.
You can either do it yourself by going to their site, childsplaycharity.org, childsplaycharity.org, or you could just give money to them to do what they do as well. So
Yeah, we're super excited about that. I'm
yeah,
really excited about
we'll
that.
have some info. We'll have the info on the on your screen right now. It's just going to be ustream.tv/channel/teh-other-guys. And we'll be casting some of the games between Friday night and Sunday night. Most likely it will be Friday during the day
Yeah.
or whatever.
Or Saturday, maybe Saturday morning. I don't
Yeah.
know. Probably Friday.
Anyways, we'll get to the other announcements later.
Okay, cool.
But
Are you guys ready now? I'm really excited about this.
really?
Yeah, this is like a baby step of evolution.
It is. Or baby step revolution.
Or revolution into evolution. Revolution for some evolution. Anyway,
I'm confused by these statements now.
so we have something I'm actually really super duper excited to show you guys.
Yeah. A full episode of us theory crafting for reals.
Yeah. And just to give a little bit of background on this, are you on slow? I think you're on slower.
No, I'm on
I
faster.
perpetually have this problem of you accidentally being on slower. But anyway, we are gonna have to fast forward this because this game is about 2 hours long.
Yep.
So just to give some background on this, basically for the last couple months,
Since I was born.
Guns Akimbo's been complaining to me oh my god, I can't beat stalkers.
I can't beat Stalker Ball.
And I've just been saying, I don't know, dude, I don't know, build Zerglings or something. He's like, no, Zerglings don't work. And
No, what I said was Zerglings work up until a critical
no,
mass
you're right.
of stalkers.
You were right. You were right. My
I right?
answers to you were were pretty incomplete, and your problems that you were expressing were very legitimate problems.
Yeah, and it's problems that I've heard a lot of Zerg players have. Even you were telling me the other day you were playing a game with some guy and you went all stalkers pretty much, and he's just like, I don't know how to deal with it after a certain point.
Which we might even feature that game at some point. Guns Akimbo and I are actually in the same room when this is happening. This is actually not a real game of StarCraft, so you guys can stop worrying about who's gonna win. I was laughing right now. I was just kidding because we agreed before the game that we're both just taking half the map and we're gonna build. The setup is that we're gonna each build certain supply counts of units and basically do a unit tester because
Yeah, a live unit tester just so to have that live element.
unit testers are for noobs.
Yeah, exactly. Or really good people that
Yeah.
know how to get unit testers.
Yeah. Really, it was not that we don't have anything against unit testers. We just don't know where to get one.
Yeah. CVS?
I don't know. Where do you buy a unit
I
tester?
don't know. Maybe for Christmas.
We tried walking to Staples across the street and saying, "Do you guys have a StarCraft 2 unit tester?"
Yeah.
And they kind of looked at us like, "What do you?"
They had Coca-Cola and Kit Kat though.
Yeah.
Yeah, that shit's good.
So we took some chocolate home with us and then started a game of StarCraft where we built certain supplies of units and just to test them.
Yeah, and so at first we were like, okay, let's find where the critical mass is of where Zerglings are no longer good against Stalkers.
Yeah.
And so at first we're like, okay, let's try 80 supply of Zerglings versus 80 supply of Stalkers.
Yeah.
And I was pretty confident at this point that the Zerglings would win because, Speedlings against a certain amount of Stalkers, it just, it's the counter to it.
Yeah, because we both agreed. Yeah, we both agreed that early, when you have one or two stalkers, speedlings wreck them. So we were trying to figure out, at what point does Zergling stop being the answer to stalkers?
If ever.
If ever, because Guns Kimbo's point at this point in our learning process, because we did a lot of learning and we're gonna share it all with you. We're really gonna baby step evolve.
Yeah.
What you guys think of Protoss versus Stalker? But no. I mean, so we're thinking the thought process of Guns Akimbo was that the stalkers end up building a ball of themselves, and that the
A
stalkers
ball full of gay juice that squirts gayness into your mind.
and the stalkers in the middle are protected from the Zerglings around, so that there would be a critical mass of stalkers where the Zerglings would no longer win against them, basically, at even supply. So, we were just going to slowly step up, step by step, what that supply is. So this is us basically just maxing out our armies to 80 supply. We agreed that we would each make 40 supply of workers, and that was it. And then we would get to 80 supply on just pure Zergling versus Stalker.
Yeah, we did a lot of science into...
It was like very scientific.
It was. It was really hard to make 40 supply of workers and factor in queens.
Yeah, I didn't think of that aspect of it.
Yeah.
You know what else I noticed that was kind of interesting when we were doing this? Is just another side note. It's like, to get to the first max army, like, you got there much faster than me. But then to get, like, every subsequent max army, I got there way faster than you.
Well, you had more warp gates than I did
guess.
hatcheries.
Yeah.
Okay. So here's the first battle of 80 supply Zerglings versus 80 supply
Do we even do unit health or
Stalkers.
no?
Sure.
No, it's just going to be confusing, I guess.
And also...
So many bars, whatever. You can see. You guys can see.
Also, Stalkers have the advantage right now because the Zerglings can't get a full surround.
Right.
Because his back is to the wall, and I was a little bit angry of like, you're throwing the experiment!
Well, no, I just wanted to see what the position, if the positioning would help. Because
Yeah.
I know that as a Protoss player, when I get surrounded by Zerglings, that I feel like my Stalkers are all dying. And as you guys can probably see here, basically that's what happened.
Yeah.
As that even with the Stalkers with their backs to the wall, the Zerglings did pretty much kill them all.
Yeah.
It was close. There's only a few Zerglings left.
Yeah, so the positioning did help you, but
Yeah.
it's still, at the end of this experiment, we're like, okay, well, 80 supply pretty much works out in
Yeah.
the Zerg's favor. Although I think we did the experiment one more time.
I think we did too.
With the full surround to see exactly how much rapage occurs.
And just to give like a little bit more background on what we're doing is basically Guns Akimbo's been not complaining, but been explaining, crying to me for months about how just it's so hard to do anything versus the Protoss when they get a large ball of Stalkers and then some Colossus. That Protoss ball of death, basically. So this was to simulate what would happen like if the Protoss was on his way pushing towards the natural.
Yeah, we wanted to get a natural push.
Yeah, and see how it would work out. That the Zerg was able to get like a surround. Anyway, so I'll just keep explaining while you guys watch what's happening. And so even Guns Akimbo went on to like forums online and like posted games with replays of him against Protoss that pushed with Stalkers, and like basically asking like on starcraftorg forums, which you guys should all check because they're wonderful. What's the counter to this? What can I do? Like he really had no idea. And all along I'm like dismissing him, being like, I just built Zerglings.
Yeah.
Which wasn't helping him at all.
Yeah.
And
by far.
And so finally we decided for this amateur that we were going to test it. We were going to see exactly what the Zerg counter to Stalkers with Colossus is. So that's what we're building up to here,
Yeah.
so you guys can bear with us. So if you're a Zerg and you have problems,
they might not be solved, but at least you'll know more about it.
No. I think we do solve this, actually.
We kind of solve it.
We totally case closed this one, guys.
A little bit.
Because, and actually, honestly, everybody,
really-
even if you're Protoss, you might be surprised about this, because I was surprised about all of the things that we learned. Am I really loud or something?
No, keep talking. When you use my mouse, man, like, I'm having so much trouble controlling everything right now.
Yeah. You were at 50, by the way.
Really? Okay.
You were
thanks.
at 50, but your mouse scroll speed was like down at like 20, I think. I don't think you ever
Okay.
changed the settings, honestly. I think you just got used to them how they were.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. You should be much more comfortable now.
Yeah.
Because we strive to make Guns Akimbo comfortable. He has a hard life.
I do have a hard life. But no, like the blah blah blah. Pretty much, what was happening is, there are solutions to the Stalker Colossus Ball, but it seems like so micro intense for the Zerg of like, okay, well, you have a lot of Stalkers surrounding just a few Colossi, and really the counter to Stalkers are Zerglings or Hydras.
Yeah.
Those are the most known go-to units against Stalkers.
So now,
which happen to be the hard counter. Colossi are the hard counter for both.
Yeah, totally.
And we'll go over that in a little bit as well.
Yeah, we get to that. We start adding Colossus later. But so now, at this point, can you take a minute before this next battle happens? I think this is the one at 120 supply, right?
Yep.
So can you take a minute to explain to everybody what your thoughts right now going into this were about what was going to be the counter for Zerg to Stalker Colossus.
Right now going into this.
Yeah, at this point, in our tests.
At this point, my
And I'm
mind.
only asking you. I'm not asking you to explain this so like I can point at you later. Be like, wrong. Guns Akimbo's dumb. No, I'm doing this because actually, what you thought seemed to be like a consensus of a lot of players on starcraftorg, especially of like, yeah, this is pretty much what we were gonna have to do against this.
Yeah, my thoughts were okay. Actually, even at this point, I was thinking Zerglings aren't going to work.
Yeah.
And my thoughts were at some point we're going to have to get to the whole thing of like I build a couple of roaches, a bunch of hydras. I have corruptors on the map to snipe out the Colossus, and some infestor play to stop any stalker blinkage, and if there's fungal growth left over, to neural parasite any extra colossi.
Right.
Which is the most, Mike. It's pretty much trying to run,
Extremely
run a marathon while you're high on chocolate.
Yeah. And at this point, this was a test where I used the choke.
Yeah.
So this was where we saw the effect that I think we do another 120 supply experiment after this. But this one you can see what difference being at the choke makes for the stalkers fighting the Zerglings.
Well, this was just one of those things of we knew what would happen.
Yeah, we sort of knew we wanted to just show.
Of just an experiment, and like positioning is so huge, which we've had episodes on before of how big positioning is. But obviously,
I hope we do another experiment at 120, right? After this, I'm pretty sure we do. Yeah.
So obviously, Negative Sun has lost almost nothing.
Yeah.
I lost almost everything, all because of positioning.
Yeah. So and back to what you were just saying about your thoughts on this. At this point, I also was under the impression that I thought that you were going to have to build corruptors to counter the Colossus. That was my thoughts, is that he's going to have to build corruptors eventually to counter the Colossus, and that he's going to want to... I was really scared of the infestors, that you're going to want to use infestors with fungal growth on the stalkers, and especially neural parasite on the Colossus. And my preconceptions about where you were wrong were that I felt like you were going to want to use more Zerglings than you were expressing to me, and that you were going to want to specifically like neural parasite the Colossus or find a way to deal with the Colossus. I felt like you were maybe blaming too much on the stalkers and not enough on the Colossus.
Yeah, and that's what you're talking about before too when we were playing, is saying I don't think your problem is the stalkers, I think your problem is the support unit to the stalkers of
whatever it is. It could be Colossus, it could be
Immortals, it could be
the Colossus
Sentries.
The Colossus is the most famous example. I think that's the one that people run into the most, but Sentries are also pretty common.
Yeah. So yeah, we're about to do another 120 supply here,
cool.
with a Zerg having the positional advantage.
Right.
Of just Zergling. Again, we're taking it slow, ramping it up slowly. Of like, again, still looking for that critical point of when do stalkers become greater than Zerglings?
Yeah.
And again, at this point,
Guns Akimbo's at this point, like, we felt like, the stalkers just wrecked the Zerglings in the last experiment at the choke, so we were kind of curious if this is enough now where the Zerglings are gonna get wrecked, basically.
Yeah.
So it's
and look at all these stalkers.
It's 40 stalkers to 150 Zerglings.
And all these stalkers right here can't get touched, so they're just gonna get all free pot shots. But right now I'm setting up a full surround. And this is something you probably won't find the Protoss in too often.
Yeah.
But it's just an example of
the
position you want.
More often than not, you can usually find the stalkers stretched out. You really want the two positions that you're more likely to find in like a ball in the middle of the map waiting for you.
Yeah.
Is either the stalkers with their back against something because they were able to get good positioning, or the stalkers spread out in sort of like a line with maybe some stragglers in front or behind.
Yeah.
Because they were like on their way somewhere.
Yeah.
And really, the point that you want to engage them is when they're spread out like that on their way somewhere.
Yeah, and you kind of rush the Zerglings by halfway and then kind of go on for the attack.
So as we saw here, this was pretty exciting to me as I was watching this because I wasn't sure what would happen at this point.
Yeah, this blew my mind of, oh my god, the critical mass of stalkers isn't 120. The Zerglings can still win.
Yeah.
And that changed a lot in my head of like, oh shit. Because usually in a game you don't get to do that directly. Because usually they'll throw in some zealots and you're dealing with different unit combinations.
Or you'll be at different supply levels because of expansions or whatnot.
And so in your head, if you're losing to it, or like when I'm losing to the Stalker Ball, you're not thinking, you're just thinking, it's because Zerglings at this point aren't good enough.